The Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Tam McManus and Ryan McGowan here with us on a Friday. You did actually just tease it on Wednesday on the programme. Tam, are you happy with our defensive cover?
I am. I played with Gowser at United, apart from being a jambo. He's a good lad.
Yeah.
But he'll be a good addition. He's got an opinion. So that's what we're needing in the show.
Well, I've never met an introverted Australian in my life, Ruffy, have you? They're like the Dutch. We're about to find out the next couple of weeks if he really is Australian.
Well, I'm sure he'll be put in the spot quite soon, as we start talking about the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to you for joining us, especially the support you supplied over the course of last season. The figures were absolutely magnificent. And of course, as ever, this season we will be bringing you lots of programme content, unique video content for you to engage with. If you hit the subscribe button, you'll join the football family. If you download the app, you'll get it all at your fingertips, as well as being able to watch live on your phone. So Monday to Friday, of course, we'll have the programmes, and on the Saturday and Sunday, all our staff will be out there at the key games, keeping you right up to date with managers and players' interviews and reaction after the game as well. Lots to look forward to, and a roller coaster season. So we start with optimism, hopefully, and then eventually Scottish football will wear us down. You can engage with us as well and give us your thoughts. So let's start on a positive note. What a fantastic result, Ruffy, for St Mirren in Europe.
Yeah, we say it every year. We need some of the smaller clubs away for Rangers and Celtic to do well. We need points, to get more teams into the competition. So it's a great start for them, and I'm sure they'll be looking for, the supporters will be absolutely looking forward to the season.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at Mark O'Hara's goal, it was an absolute belter. And they just went about their job efficiently, 3-0 of a cushion. Wee bit of a worry with the penalty, but other than that, really good.
Yeah, I thought they started the game really strongly. I thought the first 15-20 minutes they could have been a couple of goals up. You know what you're getting from St Mirren, they're pretty direct. They get the ball in the box, they make defenders defend. And they just out-muscled Valur for me. I think they were too physical for them. But they've got quality as well. I think O'Hara is a very talented player, and a couple of, 2 or 3 of their new signings last night looked good as well. So I agree with Ruffy. I think if you're a St Mirren fan, you're looking at that game last night and you're really encouraged by what you're seeing, and you're going into a big game against Hibs at the weekend, hoping to start the league campaign good as well.
Yeah, absolutely. 4-1 was the overall score. Stephen Robinson himself, first to admit, great getting the result. SK Brand now lying wait next week. Again, I expect all of the St Mirren fans to turn out in great numbers, because it was a sellout. It was fantastic, the atmosphere.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect stadium for them for these occasions. They obviously got the reward with how well they did last season, and again, I think they'll be definitely in the top 6 this season with the boys that they've brought in, plus that continuity of being successful last year. I think the new additions will really help that. Yeah,
Stephen Robinson himself, European football is one thing, but he has to refocus the team on domestic issues.
I was thinking there's a lot of people here that have put a lot of work into this football club. Long before I was here, they've seen bad times, they've seen good times. And these are the moments you have to savour as a fan, and I think it's important that you do that. And I believe the fans milked every last drop out of it tonight, and still probably will be in hours of pubs and homes around Paisley. So we're delighted for them. My job now is, when your expectations rise and you're a good side, you've got another really tough game on Saturday. So for this moment in time, I have to put that to bed, the European side of things, and concentrate on a really dangerous Hibs side.
We're big fans of Stephen Robinson. He's been on the show, Ruffy. I'll tell you, I think Rooney's a great signing for them.
Yeah, certainly is. He done well, identifying that he's wanting a change for down in England to come back up here. We saw what he did with St Johnstone, scoring goals in important big games. So, yeah, wide player, gets into the box, and scores goals as he did the other night there. So, yeah, I think he'll be a good asset to them.
Yeah, if that's the high, the low, Tam, is, well, I was trying to stay positive. I think we had a sneaky feeling that maybe Kilmarnock had shot their bolt by not getting a lead at Rugby Park, and so it proved. What a terrible goal to lose.
Yeah, it's a disaster for them at the back. It's really a real poor error for the defender, and they're punished. Cercle Brugge missed a penalty as well, and you thought after that, they could go and get back into the game, but I watched the first hour of the game, and I thought Brugge were by far the better team. I thought Kilmarnock came into it towards the end where they had nothing to lose, they had to score. But I think over the 2 legs, probably Brugge deserved it. But Kilmarnock, for me, you're right, they had to take a lead over there. I think at home on that pitch, they're difficult to beat. If they take a 2-1 lead over there, it's a different game, but to go over there and expect them to win the game was a big ask, and they've obviously still in it. They're dropped down into the conference against Tromsø, and both teams are against Norwegian outfits now, so hopefully they can both get through, but they'll be tough. The Norwegian league's probably similar to ours in terms of standard.
Yeah.
Did you miss the last half hour with the detective van come back?
Well, that's honestly, you'll never believe this. I'm just about to say to you, if he only watches a game for an hour, it means his multiple satellites on the roof are not picking up the game, Ryan. Just in case you're worried about how the hell he managed to get that game when none of us could get it.
I watched Gowser when he was playing. I watched him when he was playing in Kuwait and all that in China. I've got every game on that stick.
Absolutely unbelievable, Tam. So yeah. Anyway, apart from anything else, it's a great result for St Mirren. They're up against Hibs, and I'm looking at that game and I'm saying to myself, it's your old side, Tam. If anything, the worry. You like to start a season with positivity. You like to see signings. Fans like to get enthusiastic. There's been a wee bit of unrest in the background, which I think has not helped David Gray.
No, it hasn't. Obviously, it comes from Bill Foley's comments about David and Malky Mackay. They started the season pretty well. The emphatic win against Queen's Park. Then they lost away to Celtic, which was a shocker. And he rested some players. I think the players that come in they're not the standard. If Hibs are wanting to challenge for third and fourth, they're not the standard of player that Hibs need. The fans are screaming for new signings every day. Where's the signings? And they've signed two goalkeepers. I think they've signed a goalkeeper and two centre halves, which was an area they had to strengthen. But they need a striker, and they've only got Dylan Venti there. They need maybe two strikers. They need a wide player. They need maybe a kind of number 10 type as well. So there's a lot of work to do at Hibs, and this is going to be a really difficult game at the weekend. Said St Mirren, in flying form. Great result in Europe. The whole town seems to be buzzing. The players are confident, so I think they've got to stand up to the challenge at St Mirren as well. I've seen them last night. They're a big side, a big physical side. And if Hibs don't stand up to that, Peter, I think they'll get bullied and they'll lose the game. So they've got to first and foremost match St Mirren physically, and then try and play their football after that.
Yeah, that's the key element here. Fans want a lift. They have that expectation. They have that demand. And it didn't quite work out last year. No matter what Nick Montgomery tried, it was like maybe one half decent game and then 2 defeats. Yeah,
I think historically Hibs kind of struggle with consistency throughout the season. They always seem to start the season really well, and then it's almost as the bad weather comes in, they struggle a little bit. But like what Tom says, I think they are missing, probably one massive big signing to get everybody together and get everybody in that direction. And I've no doubt that David Gray's looking for that type of player, a proper number 9 or a 10. But it's, sometimes you need to wait a little bit longer to see which players are available. It might be a loan, it might be a few other options, but yeah, like what Tom says, I think they definitely need to probably bring in at least 3 or 4 starters.
Yeah, and of course, by the time you get to the end of August, Ruffy, suddenly people's mood has already changed. They've already started to make those judgments whether there's a new face in or not.
Yeah, and I think David Gray is under pressure, but I think the fans will be expecting a lot more from last year. Last year was horrendous in the bottom 6 most of the season. He's went in there now, and the expectation, because Hibs are a massive club. The support demand that you're up there, you're getting long cup runs and everything, and I don't think they'll accept another start to the season that they had last year. I think the voice will be heard. So the sooner he gets more players in and a settled team and winning games consistently, then they'll still be in the background. They'll utter. Well, Tam will tell you, that they're just not happy at all if they're not winning games.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's how St Mirren against Hibs fits into our fixture list for the opening games of the Scottish Premiership season. We'll also look at Championship, League 1, League 2, and of course Ryan getting ready with his new club at Livingston. We'll get his thoughts on that a little later in the programme, but it's Hearts against Rangers, the early kick-off, then Motherwell, Ross County, Dundee United against Dundee's on the Sunday. Really looking forward to that one. St Mirren against Hibs, Celtic against Kilmarnock, unfurling the Championship flag. And on that day, I think it'll be fairly emotional for Celtic fans with Lisbon Lion Jim Craig unfurling the title-winning flag. And then on the Monday, it's Ryan's old club, St Johnstone, against Aberdeen. So that's the fixture list we've got to look forward to. First and foremost, the big news coming out certainly caught a few people by surprise. It was coming out of Rangers, where Philippe Clement has signed a new extended deal at Ibrox. Well, if the Rangers fans were excited by that, are they excited by all the new players as well? We sent our intrepid reporter Patrick Mullen out there today to find out.
Rangers have announced this morning that Philippe Clement has extended his contract as Rangers boss, keeping him here at the club until the summer of 2028. Speaking this afternoon, Clement spoke about his excitement to get the deal over the line and cannot wait to build something special as Rangers boss.
And then the club said that they wanted to be sure that I would stay for the longer term, that they wanted that in many ways, not only to coach a team or to train a team, but also for the other things around. To have ideas, to discuss, to work around that. And I feel good here. I love this place. I love this club. I love the city. I love the fans. I love the atmosphere in Ibrox, or the fans who are in the away games. So it was my feeling also to do it longer term, and not to sit and wait until something more interesting comes in my mind.
Rangers have been busy in the transfer window this summer with 9 new signings now confirmed to be joining the club. Philippe Clement says it will take time for some of them to gel and has asked for patience from the Rangers fans.
It's logical, yes, that there needs to be patience, but it doesn't mean that some things can click really fast. So that's always the challenge. You have players who adapt really fast and who step into the building, and a week later they show their best football. You have players who need weeks, some players need months to get used to things. So I don't know one manager in the world who can predict that.
It's the moment we've all been waiting for. The Scottish Premiership gets underway tomorrow afternoon. It's a 12:30 kickoff at Tynecastle Park, where it's Heart of Midlothian versus Rangers.
Yeah, I like that from managers. We just need a bit of time. I think Philippe Clement will get time up until the 1st of September when the first Celtic Rangers match comes around.
3 o'clock Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. By the time the Hearts Rangers game finishes. But I do think, to be fair to him, that this is going to be his side now. There was a Michael Beale fallout. There was him trying to steady the ship, and then eventually the expectation that the squad that he inherited couldn't deliver. So to be fair to him, he's in. He's got an extended deal, which came out of left field, Ryan.
Yeah, I think that shows massive faith in him, not only, but also shows the players that if he's going out to sign players on 2-3 year contracts, they know that security of the manager that they're signing for will be there probably for that duration of their contract. So I sometimes think, we spoke about Hibs, that's been their kind of cycle of one manager signing 3 or 4 players, the next manager comes in, doesn't want them, whereas Rangers now are trying to get a bit of stability within the club with that new signing, and like he said, he's bringing 9 new players in who now, if they don't perform, questions can be asked of him because they are his players that he's brought in.
Yeah, and of the 9, there is absolutely, I think, no point in turning round as we get older in the tooth, Tam, and saying, this is one that's a really good signing, this is going to be great. Connor Barron we know about because we know his capabilities, he can score, he can drive from the middle of the park. The rest of them, you just have to wait and see how they adapt to Scottish football, if they can hit the ground running, if they can adapt quickly.
Yeah, and it's totally different, I think, playing for the old firm. I think that you've got to come in and hit the ground running. I think a lot of Rangers supporters last season had made their minds up about some of the players that come in early doors, Lammers and Dessers in particular, for the money that they paid. I think they'd written them off after 2 or 3 games. So, and it'll be the same again. There's instant judgments in football now, not just in Celtic football, but in terms of just overall football. People make judgments straight away. 2 or 3 games and that don't fancy him. It's difficult to change that mindset back with supporters. So, listen, he's got a lot of new players. He spoke about patience there. I don't think managers at Celtic Rangers get patience for the fans. I think that they've got a very difficult game tomorrow, and then they've got a double header against Kiev, and then they've got Celtic away in the horizon. So I think he'll be delighted he signed a new deal. But if it doesn't go well in this month, then I think a lot of supporters will be criticising them when you be under pressure. That's just the way it is in Glasgow.
Yeah, second is nowhere, Ruffy, but what I would say is he's got to try, I think, or hopefully look towards John Bennett. The comments that he made over the last week was basically stability, give the manager a time to build his side, no short-term thinking, long-term view, especially with incoming and outgoing. There's no doubt Rangers are going to try and replicate that blueprint that Celtic have in operation. It's whether they can successfully do that with a recruitment team in place. And of course, you've also got to engineer out some of the high earners and some of the people who are not happy. One of them, of course, I don't think we'll see Todd Cantwell in the near future in a Rangers jersey again. I think he might have kicked his last ball for them.
Yeah, well, I think early on, I think he already made his mind up that he was one of the players that didn't fit into the way he wanted his players to perform. I think it was a European Cup tie. He took him off after 20-25 minutes because he wasn't doing the instructions he'd been told. So I think for the end, till the end of the season, he was sort of in out, but you could tell right away that it wasn't his kind of player, and I think the board have bought into everything he's done, and quite rightly so. He's told them they can't carry on, giving players big money and then letting them go. There needs to be a structure of younger players coming in and getting them on 3 and 4 years. So the board have bought into everything he's been telling them, and that's why he's got that contract.
Yeah, will it be a pain playing at Hampden when they eventually get their first home game? Because, listen, good players can play anywhere, Ryan, but yeah. I can remember, the Celtic players saying they'd lost their soul playing in 1995, I think it was, at Hampden when Celtic Park was under renovation.
I definitely think it'll be different. It might be not better for the new players coming in, but they don't have that. Ibrox is right on you, and it is a tough place to play as an opposition player, but sometimes it can be just as tough if you're a home player. So maybe Hampden, the fans are a little bit further away from the pitch.
You might give them that little
miles away from the pitch. It might just give them that little bit of breathing space to get their foot in the door and be able to play, and then whenever Ibrox is eventually ready, then they can sort of have a few performances behind them to get back into there.
Give us an insight from a player when you're playing in an intimidating atmosphere. Is it difficult to try and slow that heart rate down and to do the things that you've been taught as a footballer throughout your career?
Probably the wrong one to ask, because I used to be petrified of the ball when I was younger. Just keep it away from me. But yeah, I played at. I remember, I think it was one of the first games of the season at Ibrox. And they just won the league, so they had the flag, and it was my first start for Hearts, and I remember being like, well, this is a different ball game altogether when you've got, it felt like the whole stadium was bouncing, the game starts, and it's just a bit of an absolute whirlwind. So as an opposition player, it was difficult, but I think if you're a player for Rangers or Celtic and that kind of atmosphere is all for you, I think it definitely gives you a lift.
Yeah,
playing there week in, week out.
You seem to relish it. They hated you anyway. You hit an absolute raker at Ibrox.
No, I loved. I got myself really up for those games. It was other games that I kind of struggled in. But I felt as if there was no pressure on going to Celtic and Rangers, and that's where I played my best football, because I just thought nobody's expecting us as a club to do anything or me to do anything. Why not just go out and try stuff, and it come off sometimes, but. Ryan's right. If you lose an early goal to these places, it can soon get away from you. And I remember getting beat 6-0 at Parkhead. I've got beat 5 at Rangers. So if they get the fans behind them early doors, it's the complete opposite as if you score first as an away player. You can feel the nervousness. You can hear the fans getting on their back, and you think we got a wee chance here. But it's a tough place to play, and a lot of Rangers players found that last season under Michael Beale. Coming in. The Dutch players in particular, they couldn't handle it.
Well, I'm looking, and when you think of the 9 players that he's got there, whoever he decides to throw in for their debut, they are going to be in for a baptism of fire. It is, of course, Tynecastle. Stephen A. Smith was chatting today ahead of the big game against Rangers, the opening fixture of the new Scottish Premiership season, and Kerry Pollock was there to talk to him.
The Premiership season gets started this weekend as Hearts take on Rangers at Tynecastle, and despite the Ibrox outfit going through a somewhat transitional period, Stephen Naismith says he's well aware of the threat that Philippe Clement's side can bring to the capital.
I think it is transition period for them when they've changed the manager mid-season. He's then had to do a lot of work over the summer, and from having conversations with him, he was somebody who was passionate about it, and he understood the job that was in hand. So, but you can't get away. They're still a really good team. They're a team who have got players that are dangerous, and who last season we get punished for our mistakes in games. That same threat's still there. But what I believe that we showed last season is we compete in these games now, and we'd look to probably pick up more points against Rangers than we did last season.
The Hearts boss also admitted that with the addition of some new players and managers to the league, that'll add a little bit more competition as we head through the season.
It'll definitely be a more competitive league than it has been, I think. I know Hibs and Aberdeen have changed managers, but that gives them a clear path to move forward with. I then think the other clubs have had managers that have gained a year's experience or more, which their ideas will be clearer for the players. So I think it will be a much more competitive league. For us, it'll be a busy one because of our schedule. But like I said last year, like I've said all last season, that as long as we continue to move forward and progress, then we're doing something right. I'm not going to, if we go 2 games and we don't win, it's not going to change my mindset. It'll be, if we take a step back and look at all the different parts of the club, are we progressing, are we going forward? That's what ultimately will get us success. We had a lot of plaudits last season and we performed well. We'll look to do more of the same this season.
It's been a long summer, but the league campaign gets started tomorrow in the capital, 12:30 kick-off at Tynecastle.
Just looking at the pictures there, Kerry's new house looks great with a big back garden, doesn't it, Ruffy?
That doesn't look like Chelsea.
Looks fantastic.
Sorry, Sandy House.
Yeah, looks fantastic. You can only deal with, as we mentioned there when we're talking about Rangers, Ryan, you can only deal with players that you know and their qualities, and you have to wait to see how others adapt. Of the players that he has signed, we know quite a few of Stephen Naismith's acquisitions, and it looks as if he's been wise in that transfer market.
Yeah, I'm always surprised why Hearts, Aberdeen, Hibs, the sort of bigger clubs outside of Celtic and Rangers don't go and sort of cherry pick the best players from the sort of bottom 6, because straight away you're getting a player that's played in the league before, knows the club. Say it is Hearts or Spittle or a Dander, for example. They know how big a club that is from playing against them, so they know they have to raise their game. They also understand that there's tricky places to go, Kilmarnock away, Aberdeen away. So I think it's smart business, and Hearts have done that this season. They've gone out and got Spittle, who I think had an unbelievable season last year, but I think progressively played with him at Dundee United, and over the years every season he's improved and he's proved he's got better, and I think he'll be one of the standouts for Hearts. But you've also got Dander, who's done really well for a struggling Ross County side. So put those players into a Hearts team with Shankland in there and better players to give them that service, then the recipe from looking from the outside should be pretty successful. Yeah,
and I think the general feeling from Tam and most of us is that Lawrence Shankland will be a Hearts player. He'll just continue there. If he can replicate his scoring feats, I think Hearts will clearly feel confident they'll be in that top 3 again.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's been a lot of talk and a lot of stuff about Rangers, but I honestly don't think there's anything in it. I don't think they could afford him. I don't think they would pay what Hearts value him at, and he's massively valuable to Hearts in terms of the money that they get from Europe, and the way that Hearts play, he's guaranteed to get chances, and you've seen him over the last couple of years. 9 times out of 10, those chances come, he puts them away, which is obviously a great thing for Hearts to have. But I don't see him moving this season at all. Yeah,
fair play to Hearts that even trying to keep him, Ruffy, they've offered him a heck of a bumper deal to stay. I mean, way above what you would normally think.
Yeah, they've obviously brought him in, had a chat with him, and said, look, a year to go in your contract, you're enjoying yourself here, you're in a Scotland team, you could be the regular number 9 if you keep scoring goals. They've got a year of your contract to go. Everything's there for you in a year. You don't have to dive into this just now. But as Ryan was saying there, Rangers have always said they couldn't compete with the money that Hearts are wanting. So you have to say to yourself that if there has been any discussions, Hearts have said 4 million. Whether you like it or not, it's 4 million. You're not getting them for 2.5 or 2. It's 4 million. And Rangers have always went on record and said that's too much for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, predictions time. This is where everybody has to lay their reputation on the line. Ruffy, Hearts against Rangers, first game of the season. How do you see it?
I see it being quite tight. It'll be interesting to see how many of the new Hearts players get on the park, but I still think Rangers are still too strong for Hearts, and I'm going to Rangers to win 2-1.
1-0 Hearts.
I'm going for a draw.
I'll go for 2 each.
Yeah, 2 each.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to call, Peter. We've not seen a lot of either team. And the first games are usually pretty cagey, so I think I'll go for 2 each.
Yeah.
See, before we move on, what is the crowd distribution? Has that been changed in any way? How many Rangers supporters are getting into Tynecastle tomorrow?
Yeah, they've not got the full stand, they've got the whole section in it.
They're not getting a full stand?
No.
It's just 3 or 4 or something.
Are you happy with that the way the whole league's going at the moment?
No.
Hibs have cut allocations as well.
Yeah.
Are you happy with it?
No, I don't think so. I think we want as many away fans in as possible. I think it adds something to the game, but I can see when a club is very, very successful, they want more of their home supporters in than the away ones.
Yeah, I'm willing to take a kick in the teeth for this, Ryan, and just maybe think that we are from a generation that is not happy with it. I like huge support, away support, as many as they can into a game, because I think that's what the football's all about. But maybe we just have to fold to the new way of thinking, which is quite simply we're going to satisfy as many home fans as possible. And, for example, the Celtic Rangers game, I think, has lost that sparkle. Shut up, get on with it. We're only giving you 2,000, or we're only giving you maybe 1,500. That's the way ahead.
It's difficult. I think Hearts now have the season tickets. They have that number where they're not going to move the sort of season tickets that they have all season. So they've cut the allocation down. Obviously, Rangers and Celtic fans aren't too happy about that, but at the same time, they're also cutting the allocations of those two when those two play. So I think each club does have its its own ones. Hibs have done it, but that's for sort of different reasons why they've done it, and.
St Mirren have done it.
I also think the Celtic Rangers one, that they need to come to some kind of thing. That's the sort of glamour tie of Scottish football, and I think when you used to watch the games back and you see the whole away end behind the goals at Ibrox when Celtic scored was it's one of the showpiece things. Same as when Rangers scored, you used to see all those videos of Novo running towards all the Rangers fans and thousands there. So they need to come to some kind of agreement to make it a bit more, even if it's sort of European style. I can't remember exactly the percentage of it is, but a lot more than 500, 1,000.
Yeah, don't hold your breath. Simple as that. Okay, from Hearts against Rangers, we've given you a prediction. Why don't you give us your prediction as well? That's the opening showpiece. This is the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm delighted that you could join us again. We will be live Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 4 o'clock. We'll have the journals at 4 o'clock on a Thursday. We'll have the Women's Football Show on a Tuesday. We'll also have loads and loads of unique video content for you. And as ever, you can make your choice. We tend to pride ourselves in the integrity of the show. You'll get an opinion. And we always like to promote other shows as well, which is basically if you want a show based totally on your favourite team and no criticism of them whatsoever, we always say don't forget you can go to those fan sign shows as well and enjoy yourself. Tam also wants me to get a t-shirt printed saying this is not the show for you, but quite simply we are delighted that so many people have shown their support for us, and we hope you'll stick with us throughout the season and see all the content and all the reaction we're getting from our reporters out at the grounds as well, giving you as much entertainment as we possibly can. So, from Hearts against Rangers, here's a quick look at the headlines before we analyse the rest of the games.
Welcome to your Daily News Headlines, brought to you by Arnold Clark. I'm Patrick, and here's your top stories on the 2nd of August. Rangers have announced that Philippe Clement has signed a new deal at the club this morning, keeping him there until 2028. And for St Mirren, it was a famous night in Europe last night, defeating Valur 4-1. Debutant Sean Rooney got the scoring underway, and his boss was full of praise for his performance.
You have to remember that's Sean's first game. He was blown, he was tired, but he will get better because he's not played for months.
For Kilmarnock, their European second leg didn't quite go to plan last night after a narrow 1-0 defeat against Cercle Brugge, which will now see them drop into the Europa Conference League. Whereas in transfer news, Scott McTominay could be on his way out of Old Trafford. That's after Fulham have put in a bid of £20 million for the Scottish midfielder. That's all of your headlines, brought to you by Arnold Clark.
Yeah, lots to discuss if you want to give us your thoughts on it as well. Celtic against Kilmarnock, and Celtic will be playing to a packed house and welcoming a little bit of nostalgia. Lovely touch, Ruffy. Jim Craig, the Lisbon Lion, will unfurl the title flag.
Yeah, brilliant. So the older supporters of Celtic will always remember the 67. Unfortunately, there aren't so many of the Lions still with us. You know, Jim is with us, you know. Big part of Celtic behind the scenes, so it's great that they're identifying something that the supporters can associate an ex-player with, and it'll be a huge honour for them to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a Celtic side that Brendan Rodgers has, a title-winning side. He's brought back Paulo Bernardo. He's eventually got that deal over the line. They've signed 2 goalkeepers. Maybe the Celtic fans will just have to wait and see what the next 2 or 3 weeks brings as far as other signings, because the manager himself is well aware that if it was flat at times last season, eventually they got it together. They've had a great pre-season. Brendan Rodgers, this is what he had to say at the press conference today. We have to be better in Europe, simple as that. We can't beat about the bush. In order to be better, you need quality, and if you're going to improve, you need to find that. The ambition is absolutely burning for us to be the best that we can be.
Yeah, he's right. I think Celtic have got a strong enough squad to, you know, win things domestically this season. I think they could just go out with the same squad and I think they would win the league comfortably. I still think they're by far the best team here, but in terms of Champions League, you know, you've seen it last season, they were outclassed at times, and he needs better quality, and he also needs to hang on to his better players. You know, Matt O'Reilly's been heavily linked with some big clubs this summer, Hatate as well, so, you know, he's got to try and keep a hold of his better players, but he's got to strengthen, and he's got to sign 2 or 3 real quality players, real starters to go straight into the team and improve them. I think that Bernardo's a good signing. I think Adam Ida would be a great signing as well. He's obviously been linked, but they're just missing a wee bit of stardust. You know, maybe a big name player come to the end of his career. You know, giving him a few quid maybe in wages and getting somebody to excite the Celtic fans and get them thinking that we can do something in the Champions League this season. Because I think if you're looking at that squad just now, you're thinking, yeah, domestically they should probably win the league again and probably the cups, but in the Champions League, I don't think that squad makes much an impact.
In a strange sort of way, the arrival of, or the reacquaintance with Bernardo is one thing. Even if Adam Ida comes in, Celtic fans will look and say, well, it's the same squad. You know, they'll be looking for different faces.
Yeah, I think so. I think those two are basically just keep that continuity of last season, and is strong enough domestically to go out and probably be favourites to win a treble, but they definitely need, you know, a Champions League quality signings. If not now, in a couple of years, like a Matt O'Reilly or someone. I think they've gone long enough of signing that, you know, 21, 22-year-old. This is, you know, Matt O'Reilly now should be, you know, be really enjoying the Champions League stage, and they need to have more players kind of at that age or have that experience to go on and make a difference if they want to, you know, progress through in the Champions League. Because, yeah, like it's been probably a good 3 or 4 years since they've gone on a proper run in the Champions League and made the fans excited about the Champions League, which is, you know, what they used to heavily be involved in, and making rounds of 16s and getting out the groups continuously over the years.
We all know that that's why Brendan, you know, if you're going to judge him, you know, he didn't have the best of starts towards the tail end. He started to show some form. They've certainly shown some form in the pre-season games, Ruffy, but I just wonder if Tam thinks they need 2 or 3 players, where do you think they need them in the positions?
Well, you look at the 3 in the midfield. If O'Reilly stays, O'Reilly, Hatate and McGregor, you know, I think you're going to be doing well to get something really better than that. I thought they would have went for a bit of quality up front. You know, a big name striker, you know, somebody with a pedigree of scoring goals in European football. They haven't done that, but he's already said in that statement there, we want to bring in quality. They haven't done that yet. They've just brought in the guys who did particularly well last year, and this weekend it's going to be the same team that will go in the park that won the league last year and won the cup. So the supporters will be happy with that. But then you kick on to the Champions League, and it depends where the Celtic supporters want to be. Are they happy winning a double or a treble or a league, or do they want to get into that group stage, which seems to be where everybody wants to be, competing against the big ones? And so we'll have to wait and see who that quality is that's coming in.
Yeah, and they're up against a Kilmarnock side that will be hurting, I think, from that drop. The one thing that we always look at, Tam, is we want a Kilmarnock and a St Mirren and a Hearts to get group stage, the highest European quality they can, if anything, because I think it's a game changer financially for them.
Yeah, I mean, not only for your Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen, but for St Mirren and Kilmarnock to get into a group stage would transform the whole club. You know, it would give them money that they've never had, in terms of millions of pounds, you know, to strengthen the whole structure of the club. So, yeah, I think obviously both of them have got tough ties against Norwegian teams, but it would, you know, if a St Mirren or a Kilmarnock got into a group stage, all of a sudden you're thinking, well, try to get in the top six every season. That money could propel you to maybe going for third and fourth, you know, in terms of the league campaign. So, yeah, listen, we hope all the Scottish teams do well, but particularly those two. But Kilmarnock have got, you know, coming back into a, you know, frying pan into the fire in terms of, you know, going to Celtic Park at the weekend, Celtic getting the flag, place will be buzzing. And if Kilmarnock go and feel sorry for themselves, you know, but I don't think they will. I think Derek will set up to be stuffy and hard to break down. But if Celtic get the early goal, we've always said, you know, go to Celtic Park and Ibrox and you can see the early doors. It can be a 4 or 5, and that's not the way you want to start a league campaign.
Yeah, lots of fans commenting on their team. Derek Donaldson says, well done St Mirren, cracking goals last night as ever on our programme. Lots of fans looking forward to seeing how their team is going to play. Errol says a left back, a central defender and a forward is what Celtic need, and quite a lot of fans saying most of the group of Champions League experience. If they can bring in some new players, 9 points would be enough for the knockout games. And another comment says Celtic team only have 4 UEFA Champions League players. We will get battered if we don't make signings. So that's just a few of the comments with regards to Celtic. If anything, Ruffy, I think, you know, that if there was a kind of a, I don't know, a fallout from Brendan's departure and then his return to Celtic, I think that's quickly disappeared with the double that they provided, especially with that match against Rangers. And I think you're about to see more of the way he wants them to play this season now that he's had that full season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the double got everybody back on board again, but he'll still be wanting to convince them that when he came back, he said, look, I'm going to bring in a better quality. Europe is the destiny for me. That's where I want to be successful. And I'm sure that's what he'll be wanting to do. So that's why I think most of the Celtic supporters are just hanging on in there, waiting to see when these 3 and 4 players come in before the end of the window.
Yeah, okay, prediction?
I'm going to go Celtic 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0 as well.
2-0?
3-0.
3-0, okay. I think I'm with you on this one, Tam. 3-0 so far. As it goes on, don't worry about the predictions, Ryan. Eventually you'll realise that you just make a complete back end of it every week. It's as simple as that. Motherwell against Ross County. Of course, we're going to be unbelievably positive about the teams because 3 to 4 weeks into it, as ever, some of the fans on our live feed certainly will be calling for managers' heads. I can't quite work out at the moment who I think will be the favourite for the chop early on. I'm sure you've got your favourites yourselves. But when you consider how topsy-turvy it was for Motherwell last season, 1 minute they were on a run where they just couldn't buy a win, and then he stabilised it again. He's made more than a few signings. I mean, one of them, thanks to Hugh Scott, who said, I wonder if you could name the latest signing. It's Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. That's as good as I'm going to get on it. He's signed him among other good names like Ross Callaghan.
He's an Aussie, that boy, which you wouldn't guess from the name. But yeah, I think he'll do well. You know, he's a good striker. He just got into the national team, so he'll be seeing this as a good step up for him. You know, he likes to run in behind. He's not as big as Theo Bair, who obviously did outstanding for them last year. But I think, slightly biased, I think Liam Gordon's a really good signing. You know, he's played his whole career in the Premier League. He was captain last year. Brings that leadership that, you know, every club kind of craves. at that level, and he's just a good, solid player. So I think that was a really clever bit of business from Kettlewell to bring him to Motherwell, and I think this season they'll be looking just for more consistency, and like most of the sort of bottom 6 clubs last year, they'll be trying to get away from those bottom 2 spots as quickly as possible.
As you know, and it really was the story of Livingston when they dropped down last season, and the story of St Johnstone in a way being saved. If you somehow can get somebody scoring goals, even if the team's playing bad and nicking 10 to 15 goals, it's the difference between dropping into a playoff and being relegated.
Yeah, and I think it's the old saying, goals change games. I've played in loads of teams where you've been on top and you've not been able to score, and you concede one, and that gives the other team a lift. And if you're down the bottom, like St Johnstone last year, we came in with Sadiba, who started scoring goals. Nicky Clark came back from injury and started scoring goals, and like that last day of the season, we go 2-0 up, and it really gives us something to hold on to. So I think all of those teams down the bottom are looking for their strikers to hit the ground running, and that will probably be the difference between where they finish. It could be anywhere up from 7th to 12th, will probably depend on the strikers that they've got.
But Motherwell have done particularly well with strikers since Louis Moult.
Yeah.
Louis Moult, Van Veen, the boy, and if this boy comes in and starts scoring goals, it just shows you how important it is to have somebody like that.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's great to see you in a different environment as well, Ryan, because towards the tail end of last season, 3 out of the 4 games towards the end, you really ruined a complete month for me, because you were murder to watch. St Johnstone were terrible, Tam. I mean, honestly.
Worst to play in, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised Craig didn't say when you were running out, put on this Dick Turpin mask because you're going to steal games. Oh, they were torture.
I stole one at Easter Road, remember that game?
They were unbelievable, yeah.
We bullied him that day.
Yeah, for the last 2 minutes. The Sky stats weren't favourable to you. But again, it just shows you the nature of the league. Motherwell, I have to say, I'm not too enamoured with Motherwell's home kit or their away kit. They've got a third kit out with a wee bit of kind of a claret and amber tartan. And the home kit doesn't, I don't know, I think
the home kit's okay. I think it's a claret and amber, isn't it? It's, that strip you're talking about, it's not very nice at all. But I watched them against Partick Thistle, and I thought they were definitely lacking a cutting edge. And that was before Stamatopoulos came in, and so maybe he's the guy to come in and score some goals for them. But they knocked it about pretty well, but they were a bit toothless in the final third. So I can just see for your screen that they've signed a ton of players, and they're going to take time to gel. And they lost 3 big players last season, Bear, and Spittle and Liam Kelly. So they lost, the real spine of their team, and I don't think they've really replaced that quality.
Yeah, it's good to know that Tam just dropped about 5 vowels from your Aussie's guy's name.
I couldn't wait to do it.
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry.
Just so nervous. He's staring at it, goes,
he's taking a leaf out of Ruffy's book.
What's he going to say?
Like Stammy.
Strip?
Eh?
There's going to be enough room in the back of his strip?
Well, to be fair, by the way, knowing Motherwell and their brilliant team in the background, the commercial department will have his full name on there, so you can pay top drawer for it. They're up against Ross County. Don Cowie get the permanent job off the back of what he managed to get out of that side. Few signings in there. How do you see this one going?
I'm going to go for one each, Peter. I think Ross County have been decent this season, but again, I think they'll miss Simon Murray, and I think Motherwell will miss Bear. So I'm going to go for a KJ one each.
Yeah, Ruffy.
I'm going to go Motherwell 2-1.
I'm going to go Motherwell to win 2-1.
1-0 Motherwell.
1-0 Motherwell, okay. Thank you very much to so many of you for supporting us over the course of the season. There's lots of content coming your way, and you can engage with us as well. If you download the app, interestingly enough, if you go into the part where it says contact, you can drop in an email as well, and we'll read out so many of those messages too. And lots of people are offering their point of view on our feed. As ever, if you can, try and keep your decent head on throughout the season. I know it's fairly difficult sometimes in the era of social media and the chance to actually be mental, but if you get a chance
that applies to you, Cell 88, by I've just read that.
Yeah. Again, there's lots of well, I'm not going to read it. No, I'm not going to read it. No, because I mean the derogatory towards me. The great is that right? Where is it? I never read that one. Where is that one, Tam? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to read out most of them. The good thing is, eventually, over a period of time, Ryan will get it in the neck as well. There's always that kind of a period where you
Once
just...
Hibs fans come on, he'll get slaughtered.
Yeah, once you get a welcome period, Ruffy, where people just kind of work out what type of person you are, and then eventually they come for you. It's as simple as that. Apart from Ruffy, who is the housewife's favourite. Dundee United against Dundee. Boy, am I absolutely delighted, Ruffy. There's a Dundee derby back.
Yeah, we've said it all last year. We need as many derbies as we can get, and this one's a bumper. You know, obviously Dundee. I never tipped Dundee last year at all to do anything. You know, and where they ended up, you know, I think I had them possibly relegated, but obviously as the season went on, they got better and better, and it's going to be a great game. I think Dundee United haven't hit the heady heights yet. They're at home, might be a wee bit advantage, but I'm going to stick with Dundee in this. I just think everything's going well with Dundee just now.
Yeah, I had a chat with Tony Docherty at the end of the season, and they gave him everything, Ryan.
Yeah, I think he's just a really good manager. I think, don't work under McInnes for as long as he did without taking some positive stuff from him, and also you don't have that kind of experience to know the league. You know, he's so successful at Aberdeen, and I think his signings were just really good, thrown in with a few really good younger players that are coming through at Dundee. So I think it's key of holding those younger players that they've got, who now have that year experience in the Premier League, and looking to try and kick on as much as they can, because like you said, not many people were predicting them to be in the top 6, but I think they'll be there or thereabouts again this season.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, Tam, I don't know about you, but I like, whether it's a Motherwell, a Kilmarnock, a Rangers, a Celtic, whatever, Hearts, Hibs, I like if you have a local boy, if you have someone with a connection to the club in the team, because you tend to, there's more, I'm not in any way dismissing players who come in from different leagues, but Simon Murray is a Dundee fan, and for him to join, what a huge shot in the arm, because he's been a goal scorer in the last few years.
Yeah, I think it's a terrific signing for them. I think that obviously his ties in Dundee. I think his young kid stays in Dundee. That was maybe the deciding factor for him to go and live in Dundee rather than living in Edinburgh. Dundee have pushed the boat out to get him in. I think that he's a terrific signing. 23 goals for Ross County last season is a fantastic return. He started well in the League Cup. He scored a hat-trick the other day against Inverness. So, yeah, I was fortunate to play in this game. A couple of games, one I scored in one and get sent off in the other. I know that the atmosphere's tremendous, and it's the first time, I was speaking about it earlier, it's the first time Dundee probably going to a game against Dundee United as favourites. It's usually Dundee United were always the top club, higher position. But I don't think it's the case now. Dundee United have had a mixed bag so far this season in terms of Jim Goodwin. I still don't think that a lot of the Dundee United fans are convinced by him. And I think if they get off to a poor start, I think he'd be under pressure as well. So I think Dundee are capable with the players they've got, with Simon Murray, to go there and win. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Dundee.
2-1 to Dundee. Dundee haven't won the derby at Tannadice for 20 years, Ruffy. Dundee United haven't lost at home to Dundee since the early 2000s. So that's swaying my decision on this one. I'll tell you one thing which is great about it, and a lot of people sometimes, and I think wrongly, this is an hour show, and we try and cover as many clubs as possible. We cover the main news stories as well, and we do get round all the clubs. The great thing about Dundee, and because I lived in Edinburgh, the Hearts and Hibs fans, don't care a jot about Celtic or Rangers. Yeah. The Dundee equally, the whole city is consumed by the two teams, Ruffy.
Mm-hmm. And that's the way it should be, we hear about Rangers and Celtic supporters after a game, they go back to their work, and the banter at work, is fantastic. And that'll be the same at Dundee as well. The onus of winning the game is you can walk about for a wee while with a smile on your face, rather than hiding for your mates or your workmates. So that's the importance of winning this game, if you actually live in the city itself. And I'm sure a lot of the players will live in the city, so they'll have to deal with it as well.
Yeah, and two managers with the experience. I'm amazed. This is the nature of the football now, Ryan. He's won the league. They're back in the top flight where they want to be, and still Jim Goodwin of people going, well, is he the right man for the job?
Yeah, it's just society these days, isn't it? No one's ever really happy at at the moment. So yeah, I think first and foremost they wanted to come straight back up, which they did. I think a few Dundee United fans still had a hangover of how they did get relegated, and it was under him as well. So I think they were looking to probably be a bit more commanding last year in terms of really running away with the league. But Championship's a difficult league. They did well to get up that, but they now have to step it up a fair bit to compete. And it doesn't help that Dundee did so well last year, and like that have probably gone into the game at the weekend as favourites, similar to the Glasgow and Edinburgh. It's not ideal when one club's struggling and the other one's doing really well, because it does put a lot more pressure on the opposition manager.
What's your prediction?
I'm going to go 2-1 Dundee.
Okay,
2-1 Dundee for me. Yep.
2 in the Dundee camp. I'm going to go 2-2.
I was going to sit on the fence until you gave me that start.
I was actually going to go 2-1 Dundee United, but because Dundee, I think it's 2-2, Ruffy.
I'm going to go 2-1 Dundee United.
2-1 Dundee United, yeah. So you can have that Monday condescending look on your face.
No, I just want to carry on being a winner at the end of the season.
Yeah, okay, we'll find out. Don't forget the Monday game is St Johnstone against Aberdeen. We talked about teams that need goal scorers. We talked about teams with expectation. And if you talk about one with huge expectation, it is, of course, Aberdeen as they head to McDermott Park for their first game of the season. They've got a new manager in Jimmy Tilleen, and he admits that he is well aware of what the Aberdeen fans expect.
Good expectation of Aberdeen. Everybody knows that, and we need to use that and positive energy that people and fans believe in us and take it like a good thing, not a heavy weight. Like just we keep going, keep trying, and the only thing we can do is try everything we have. Then we cannot fail in one way, but then we also have to identify what we have to do better.
If you're looking for the blueprint that Rangers have provided, saying, okay, here's a manager that likes the club, is happy, he's got a new 4-year deal in Philippe Clement. Jimmy Tilleen surely is one of those managers that Dave Cormack is going to have to sit in back and just suck it up if it's not going well to start with.
He's due to get one right. A lot of averages, Dave Cormack's got to get one right, because his last 2 or 3 have been a disaster.
That's some of your pals you're talking about.
Yeah, apart from Glassy, apart from Stevie Glass. I think that he's got to stick with the manager now. It's been a huge turnover of managers at Aberdeen. He's finding himself getting in the neck for supporters as well. I think this is going to be a longer term project, but we say that every year when managers come in. If he gets off to a bad start, the fans will be thinking, is he the man for the job as well? It's just, as Ryan said, that's just football now, and it's just the pressures of football management and social media and everything that goes with that. But I'm looking forward to seeing Aberdeen. I think they'll provide a freshness. I think he'll play a different way. I think he wants to play a high press. He'd done that in Elfsborg with Sweden. So let's just see how they got on. I thought they'd underachieved massively last season for the squad of players that they've got, and I think they've got a really talented squad. And if he can get the best out of them, I think they'll be up there as well this season. Yeah,
if anything, Ruffy, Aberdeen being in the bottom 6 with Hibs was a reflection of the quality of football we were watching. Aberdeen were murder last season.
Yeah, and again, that's what makes the managers to be a wee bit under pressure than others, because Hibs and Hearts supporters, Hibs and Aberdeen supporters will not tolerate being in that bottom 6. They've already had a horrendous season, everybody having a go at them and making jokes about them and everything. And both of them, Aberdeen in particular, have got a support that feel as if they demand the success. They turn up at away games in numbers, and they just want to have a really, really good season, so that the manager will have to convince them, and the only way you do that is by winning games.
And they're up against the St Johnstone side, your old team, that I am almost certain they will be favourites and for so many people this time to drop out of the league. Craig Levein will have to not only prove the doubters wrong, maybe even prove the new owners wrong.
Yeah, I think they've really struggled the last 2 seasons, or even 3 seasons with the playoff season before I joined, and they're going to have to hit the ground running. It's a little bit strange to see this pre-season in the Cup. They seem to be scoring a lot of goals, which is what we really struggled with last season, was having goal scorers. So we've got Saliba up front who scored, Benji scored a couple in pre-season, and he seems to be playing 2 up front. So hopefully on Monday night he can play 2 up front, and I think it's near enough close to a sellout. for that game, so that brings its own added pressure. But yeah, what a game for St Johnstone to sort of new ownership, new season, go out there and put a real good performance on, and against an Aberdeen side who, you know, like we've all said, was horrendous last year, and you know, they will obviously be trying to do so much better to get into that top six, but it will be a real difficult game for both teams, I think.
I'm not making any predictions, Ruffy, on Aberdeen until I see 2 or 3 games of the style of football he's got. If he's going to play a high press and the team are going to try and play football, all well and good. I think the league, no matter what way Neil Doncaster and the SPFL spin it, I think we need to see an improvement in the quality of football we were watching.
Yeah, but I think the 2 teams in particular we're talking about, Hibs and Aberdeen, didn't add in to the league last year. I think they were poor. You know, well done to St Mirren and Dundee, you know, for being up there. So I'm sure if you ask their fans, did they enjoy the season, it would be yeah. It's just that when we go further into European football, our other clubs seem to struggle a wee bit. I hope that's not the case this year. But I think if they establish themselves more in Europe, I think we'll think more. I mean, the crowds are up. You know, in Scotland. I mean,
but they're fanatical.
Yeah, they are. Well, then if you keep progressing, you know, the more and more will turn up. I just think if Hearts and, if not Hibs and Aberdeen get their act together, I think it'll be an exciting season.
Okay, with no knowledge of how they're going to play, what they're going to look like, and the knowledge of what I've watched against St Johnstone, I'm going to go Aberdeen to win 2-1.
Yeah, I think Aberdeen will get off with a good start. I'm going to go 2-1 as well.
There's no, you know, sometimes when you leave a club, they put in some kind of contract where you're not allowed to say anything against them over a period of time. Thankfully, there's no
gagging.
There's no gagging order for you. Thanks for that, Tom. So give us your prediction, Ryan.
Remember, you said 4-0 Aberdeen up there.
I'll go 1-1.
1-1. Oh my God. Just before I go to just a wee scalp on your back end there.
3-1 Aberdeen.
Yeah.
And I think St Johnstone will get relegated this season.
Okay, Ruffy?
2-1 Aberdeen.
Yeah, I'm going to get all of us to predict 1-12. And then obviously we'll look and see how it all goes. We'll be able to call on it over the course of the season. Just before we go, don't forget you can hit the subscribe button and also download the app on PLZ Soccer's in Google Play and in the App Store. You'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips. I've got to wish you well, Ryan, because not only have you come in here to join us, but you're going to be playing football, of course, with Livingston.
Yeah.
High hopes. We've got a lovely feature with Ali Graham, who's given us his insight into the championship for this season. He reckons Livingston are going to be there or thereabouts trying to win it.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably one of the best leagues in Scotland, purely from the fact that, you know, before the games start tomorrow, there's probably 5 teams who have a real belief that they could win the league, which, you know, you don't really get in any of the other leagues.
Give me the 5.
Livingston, Thistle, Wraith Rovers. I think Falkirk will be confident in there. I think all of those 5 teams will be going into the season believing if they can, you know, get on a good run and get some performances that they can go and win the league and definitely be up there. It'll be a dark horse. My brothers at Hamilton, you know, they've made some really good signings. He's injured, which is a big bonus for them as well. So, you know, that's
hopefully get paid and all.
That was the other line. Good luck with that line, Tom.
Airdrie have done really well under Rhys McCabe. So, yeah, I think I'm near enough named every team.
I think it'll be really interesting if Livingston do go on a good run and you're up there first or second and extended run, to see if the support come back and support the team. Livingston is a massive place. I know you want to win, Livingston won winning games last year and crowds don't tend to come, but I think if you go on a wee run, there's a big attendance there if they all get behind that team.
Yeah, I think it has a ceiling point, and I think they have to work really hard as a club to try and get fans out, because most of them, you know, some of them head towards Tynecastle, but there's a lot who head towards Celtic and Rangers, especially in that area. But it's a huge job, and they'll be hoping to attract them with positive results. We will find out. We wish Ryan the very best of luck in his time at Livingston with David. We're a huge fan of David Martindale, it's fair to say, Tom.
Yeah, we like him. Yeah, good guy.
We like him. Although if you're frozen out of the side
Don't
at
like
any
him.
point
Yeah.
when we don't like him. So try and get your act together, will you? Anyway, apart from that, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget, right across the weekend, across all our social media, on the fabulous figures of last season and the content that we gave you, you've shown your support, and I want to thank each and every one of you for backing us. So many are trying to copy us, as they often do, and we're just going to keep on trying to fight the fight and give you that option away from the usual mainstream media, away from the tired old analog television shows. Come on to PLZ Soccer. You'll get opinion, you'll get guests, you'll get one-to-ones, you'll get all sorts of content that I hope you will enjoy. From Ruffy, from Ryan McGowan, from Tammy McManus and myself, Peter Martin, thank you for listening and thank you for watching.